Have you ever been told that spending too much time alone makes you strange, antisocial, maybe even broken? The truth is the opposite. People who like being alone are not lonely. They carry hidden strengths that most of the world can't even see. What looks like solitude is actually power, and today we'll uncover 5 strengths that make people who like to be alone not just different, but rare and unstoppable. Stay with me, because by the end you may realize that what others call weakness has been your greatest strength all along. For centuries, solitude has been misunderstood. In a world that celebrates noise, speed, and constant connection, choosing to be alone is often judged as strange or even unhealthy. But the truth is, some of the greatest minds in history sought solitude not because they were broken, but because they were strong. Carl Jung, the father of analytical psychology, once said, "Loneliness does not come from being alone, but from being unable to communicate the things that seem important to you." In other words, solitude is not isolation, it is clarity. The Stoics knew this too. Marcus Aurelius, emperor of Rome, would retreat into silence to reflect and regain balance, writing, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." For him, being alone wasn't emptiness, it was power, a chance to sharpen the mind and strengthen the spirit. And today, the science agrees. Psychologists have found that people who are comfortable spending time alone tend to show higher levels of creativity, independence, and self-awareness. They don't fear silence, they don't run from it, they use it. That's why people who like being alone carry a set of hidden strengths that most of the world can't see. Strengths that make them rare. Strengths that make them powerful. And in this video, we'll uncover the 5 that define them most. Strength 1. Loyalty. When you first meet someone who enjoys being alone, they may seem distant or even hard to approach. They don't surround themselves with dozens of acquaintances. They don't chase crowds, and they don't fill their lives with endless noise. But here's what most people don't realize. Because their circle is small, their loyalty runs deep. For someone who values solitude, friendship, and love are never casual. They don't waste energy on shallow bonds. If you are part of their life, it's because you matter. And once you've earned their trust, you'll find it is one of the rarest gifts you can receive. Think about it. The extrovert may have 100 contacts, but the introvert will have a handful, and for those few, they will stand unshakably firm. They won't betray you for convenience, they won't vanish when things get hard, and they certainly won't tolerate lies. To them, loyalty is not optional, it's sacred. This is why people who like to be alone make such reliable friends and partners. They understand the value of time and presence, so when they give you theirs, it is genuine. No masks, no pretenses, just devotion. A Stoic once wrote, "To keep a friend, one must be loyal, and to be loyal, one must be true." For the solitary, this truth is a guiding principle. They would rather walk alone than walk beside someone who is false. So if a person who enjoys solitude lets you into their inner world, know this: you are not just another face in the crowd. You are family, you are chosen, and their loyalty, once given, is stronger than iron. Strength 2. Calm confidence. There's a common misconception that people who like to be alone avoid others because they are shy, anxious, or unsure of themselves. But the truth is the opposite. Their silence is not fear, it is confidence. They don't feel the need to prove themselves in every room because they already know who they are. While others speak just to fill the air, the solitary person chooses their words carefully. They don't rush into conversations to gain attention or approval, and when they finally speak, people notice, because their words carry weight. That calm presence is often mistaken for weakness, but in reality it is one of the highest forms of strength. Think about a crowded meeting. Dozens of voices compete, each one trying to dominate. And then, after a pause, the quiet one speaks. The entire room shifts. Why? Because true confidence doesn't shout, it whispers, and everyone leans in to listen. People who like to be alone have mastered this kind of calm confidence. They have thought things through. They understand themselves deeply. They don't need validation to feel secure, because their approval comes from within. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." The solitary flips this truth. They don't fear being judged because their sense of worth doesn't live in the crowd. It lives in their own clarity. So if you see someone who enjoys solitude sitting quietly, don't mistake their silence for weakness. It is calm confidence, the kind that doesn't need to prove, doesn't need to impress, and doesn't need to beg for acceptance. Because the strongest people are not always the loudest. Sometimes they are the quietest in the room. Strength 3. Comfort in solitude. For many people, being alone feels unbearable. The silence becomes noise, the stillness feels like emptiness, and they rush to fill the void with company, distractions, or endless scrolling. But for those who truly like being alone, solitude is not something to escape. It's something to embrace. They don't see an empty room as loneliness. They see it as freedom, a chance to breathe without masks, without expectations, without the constant pressure of performance. In solitude, they recharge. They reconnect with themselves. They find peace in ways the restless world can't understand. Think about it. Some people dread eating alone at a restaurant or spending a weekend without plans. To them, solitude feels like punishment, but the person who enjoys being alone sees it differently. A quiet dinner with a book, a walk through the park with only their thoughts, an evening spent journaling or reflecting. These moments aren't empty. They're full of self-discovery, full of quiet joy, full of meaning. Carl Jung once said, "Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes." And this is exactly the strength of the solitary. They are not afraid to look inward. They don't run from themselves. Instead, they turn solitude into a sanctuary, a place where the mind can awaken. So while the world rushes from noise to noise, the one who finds comfort in solitude walks calmly through silence, smiling, because they know what others don't, that peace is not found in the crowd but within, and that is not weakness, that is mastery. Strength. 4. Value of time. There is one resource more precious than money, status, or recognition, and that is time. Most people spend it carelessly, giving it away to endless conversations, empty commitments, and meaningless distractions. But people who like being alone understand something vital. Time is sacred. They know that every hour invested shapes their life. That's why they guard it so carefully. They choose where to spend it and with whom. They don't waste it on people who drain them or on pursuits that bring no growth. If they give you their time, it means you matter. Think of it this way. An extrovert might say yes to every invitation just to avoid missing out, but the solitary person measures carefully. They ask themselves, is this worth my energy? Will this add meaning to my life? If the answer is no, they walk away without guilt. And that discipline protects their peace. The Stoics often reminded us, we act like mortals in all that we fear and like immortals in all that we desire. Seneca warned that most people waste life not because it's short, but because they squander it. The solitary understands this truth deeply. They treat time as a treasure, not as something to be thrown away. That's why when you're with them, you feel their presence. They're not half distracted scrolling through a screen or pretending to listen. They're there, because if they chose to share their time with you, it's intentional. So remember this. If someone who values solitude gives you their time, they're not giving you minutes, they're giving you a piece of their life. And there is no gift greater than that. Strength. 5. Strong boundaries. In today's world, everything pushes us to overshare. Social media turns private life into public performance, and people are praised not for what they protect, but for what they reveal. Yet those who like being alone move differently. They understand something rare, the power of boundaries. For them, not everything is meant for everyone. They know exactly what belongs to the public and what belongs only to themselves. They can smile in the spotlight, but when the moment ends, they retreat into the safety of their inner world, where not everyone is invited. This doesn't mean they are cold or distant. It means they are careful. They know that peace grows best behind walls, and they guard that peace fiercely. They don't allow just anyone to walk into their personal space, because they understand that letting the wrong energy in can destroy balance. Think of it like a garden. Left open, anyone can trample it, uproot the flowers, and poison the soil. But with a gate, only those who are trusted may enter. People who like solitude build these gates, not out of fear, but out of wisdom. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." And solitude is the fortress that protects those thoughts. By setting boundaries, they protect their minds, their emotions, and their freedom. So if someone who values solitude chooses to let you in, take it as the highest compliment, because for them, privacy is sacred, and the key to their inner world is not given lightly. The world often fears silence. It fills every empty space with noise, distraction, and endless demands. But those who like being alone have discovered something precious, that solitude is not a weakness to be cured, but a shield to be cherished. Psychologists today confirm what philosophers knew centuries ago. Solitude sharpens the mind. It allows for reflection, creativity, and balance. It is in silence that the artist finds vision, the thinker finds clarity, and the soul finds peace. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, people look for retreats for themselves in the country by the coast or in the hills, but nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul. The solitary lives this truth daily. They don't run from themselves, they sit with themselves, and that's where they draw their strength. And this is the heart of it. Liars, manipulators, and the noise of the world all thrive on reaction. They want you restless, distracted, and dependent. But solitude protects you. It grounds you. It teaches you to listen before speaking, to reflect before acting, and to guard your peace as your greatest treasure. So the 5 hidden strengths we've uncovered: loyalty, calm confidence, comfort in solitude, valuing time, and strong boundaries, are not random traits. They are the natural result of living in alignment with solitude. They are the marks of someone who no longer fears silence, but transforms it into power. Now you know the truth. People who like being alone are not empty, broken, or strange. They are loyal to the few who truly matter. They carry a calm confidence that doesn't need the crowd. They find peace where others find fear. They treat time as sacred, and they protect their personal space with wisdom. These 5 hidden strengths make them rare. They are not defined by loneliness. They are defined by clarity, depth, and power. In a world addicted to noise, the one who can walk calmly through silence is unstoppable. So if you recognize yourself in these strengths, don't doubt them. Embrace them, because what others call weakness is, in truth, your greatest gift. Not lonely, unstoppable. If this message speaks to you, tap like, subscribe to Stoic Spring, and share it with someone who needs it. And in the comments, write just 3 words: I embrace solitude.